Kanye did the Lord's work on Sunday. The Jesus is King rapper brought his popular Sunday service to Joel Osteen's megachurch in Houston. 50,000 people packed the sanctuary. An estimated 10 million more streamed the service. To hear Yeezy talk about his spiritual journey, here's a little bit of what he said during his visit.
All of that arrogance and confidence and cockiness that y'all seen me use before, God is now using for him.
And Kanye raised some eyebrows when he declared this. Listen.
The greatest artist that God has ever created is now working for him.
Didn't he just say he's done with cockiness and arrogance? Well, Kanye made several braggadocious statements like this during his visit to Lakewood Church. So what is the message do you think he's trying to spread now?
In terms of what he's trying to spread, that is a very curious and still sort of amorphous idea. I think what's happening, though, the value of what Kanye is doing now, and a lot of people have missed this, is we've seen Kanye in arguably his most vulnerable states. We've seen him from, listen, I just got into this car crash and almost lost my life, to I lost my mom, and these very, very human moments, right? And we've seen a lot of his triumphs and a lot of his failures, and they've been put in front of us 24/7. Now the fact that he is stepping so firmly into his faith, I think has an opportunity to give people an example of what it looks like to be imperfect and to step into a different space and to grow and to evolve. People, I don't really think our community knows what we want from Kanye. We hear a lot of times, we talk about like, y'all want the old Ye back. What does that mean, right? Like College Dropout came out in 2003. None of us are the same 15 years later than we were 15 years ago. And if we are, then that's a problem, right? So we've seen him grow and evolve and sort of change and get to this place over time. But I think that too many of us are just not allowing him to become whatever it is he wants to become or to be whoever it is he wants to be. The fact that he's doing it in the church, the fact that he's doing it in the name of his faith, in the name of religion, I think is ultimately a positive thing, because
if he's genuine,
of course, if assuming that he's genuine, and I'm going to take him at face value and say that he is, right? The fact that he's doing that is a positive thing, because hopefully it may touch someone somewhere and make them say, well, I'm less than perfect as well, so maybe this might be a path that I want to explore.
So Shaina, was Sunday's event genuine?
I don't think so, and I don't think any of this has ever been genuine. I think he has reached his peak narcissist form. If you remember an interview that he did with The Breakfast Club a few years ago, where Charlamagne ended up just ending the interview with, like, no one cares about your rich nigga problems, because I think for him, every single thing that he's tried to do where the public doesn't necessarily embrace it, usually because it's crazy, he turns it into a woe is me situation when it's not a real issue. So you say it's genuine, but yet he is at these churches selling plain white t-shirts for like $250. That is not genuine if you're really trying to teach the word of God. I feel like everything that he's doing right now is part of just severe narcissism. Again, I am not a trained psychologist, so I cannot, diagnose him, but none of this seems genuine to me. I feel like it's just another level of Kanye doing Kanye things to show that he is the best, because that's what he genuinely thinks in his head. And again, same thing when you look at his relationship with his wife, how the other day he was arguing with her about how she dresses too sexy, and that is imposing on his new role as this like Christian leader, whatever he's claiming himself to be. Yet, when you got with her, you literally built her up to that. You had her whole wardrobe changed. You encouraged her to do a whole bunch of nude photo shoots. You told her to be her sexy self, and now that she's doing that, now it's a problem.
Well, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like, so he started in this space with Kim Kardashian and after dating Amber Rose and a number of other women in that sort of very visual, very, highly sexualized aesthetic space. And now that he's in a different place, he wants and expects those around him to sort of, he's trying to get them to come with him. In terms of how genuine it is, I mean, you gave the example of selling stuff at church. I mean, there's a lot of consternation, if you will, around the intersection between capitalism and religion.
Right, and
that
those
we can
churches
sort
get
of
called
peep at.
out for that too. When you see the pastors buying $1 million jets, no one sees that as like, oh my God, that is the Lord's work. The Lord needs him to have $1 million jet to travel from church to church. We all look at that like, that's bullshit. So I think this whole situation is nonsense, and I think it's just another form of narcissism for him, where he just always needs to have the spotlight, and he saw that he was falling from that. I think he wishes that he had the same like platform as like a Jay-Z or somebody else in that space where people respect them in that way. He wants to be respected as like this pioneer, and no one looked at him that way just because of certain decisions that he makes. So I think now he's trying to like kind of redeem that, but he looks crazy. And to be real with you, like this whole situation seems like a cult to me. It's creepy and it's
No, I don't think it's fair that we necessarily try to figure out how genuine Kanye is in these type of situations. You know, I think that all of us are human. I think we all make mistakes. Honestly, I would hate to be judged on the things that I did 15 years ago, because I know I've evolved and I've grown. And, you know, for Kanye to kind of take this route and to take this journey with his faith and his religion, we saw it 15 years ago. Jesus Walks.
On his first album.
I mean, it was all over.
He's been
This is
consistent.
all over Hot
He's been
97.
consistent.
This is not the same. When he did Jesus Walks, he was not out there saying, God created me to be this best artist. Like, he has been referring to himself as God.
But why
Like,
isn't he
that
allowed
is-
to?
But why
That
can't
is
he do that
troubling.
though? But why
why
can't he
That
do
is
that?
But why can't but that's my
That
thing.
is
It's just like,
troubling.
you know what? I'm not the gatekeeper to tell Kanye what type of Christian that he can be, because he
You
wants
can
to
be a
make
Christian, but if
Y-
you
yes,
start
but-
to
but
refer
you-
to yourself as God,
But you know
cannot
what?
tell me that
Nobody.
that is
I can be a Christian, but nobody can tell me what type of Christian I can be.
I think the most valuable thing about this entire foray that Kanye has made into this space is that it has really brought a lot of the hypocrisy within the Christian faith-based community to its surface. And this is an opportunity for us to sort of weed through those things because it's so public. And a lot of us experience religion and spirituality in a very private, very sort of, measured space. And so how we express that is manicured. We control what we put on social media. And, we check into church and what a good word we had today. And we go home and we do all kinds of other crazy stuff, right? Ye doesn't necessarily have the benefit of that in as much as there are cameras on him 24/7. And I'm not saying he doesn't like that. I'm not saying he doesn't welcome that to some extent.
But there does seem like there's an end game.
Right. And what I'm saying is I think that the conversation that's happening and then the potential pathways for, new people to come to different levels of spirituality, evolution, and growth, those are positive things.
You know, Marlie, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my thing is that, to me, I don't know if it's about Kanye being genuine. I think that a lot of people are rooting against him being genuine. I think a lot of people don't really want to see him make a positive push towards this journey that he's on. And, I think people fear of losing the old Kanye that they fell in love with those first albums that he came out with, to now saying like, yo, I can't really purchase Jesus is King because I can't relate to this. A lot of people related to a lot of the content that Kanye formerly put out.
I think a big point that also no one has mentioned at this table are his comments outside of this, right? So his relationship with Trump, his relationship with the Black community, where he's basically telling people that slavery was a choice. It was our fault. We shouldn't have all been standing in the same place. Next time they want to come enslave us, why do we not all stand in the same place? His whole groupthink theory, which is another conversation on its own. But it's like, for these things that he's saying that are inherently wrong, like factually wrong, are irresponsible. And I think that is where the general public has their issue with Kanye.
And hurtful to Black people.
Right. Like, for you to say that slavery was a choice, and for when the slave catchers came, they just all stood in the same place, like, that is
I mean,
Crazy. That's not okay.
being a Christian doesn't exclude you from being ignorant.
Correct.
You know,
Well, we can go on about this for most of the show, but we have got to move on. So news broke that Kanye is producing a Christian-themed opera. The event will take place next week at the Hollywood Bowl and will feature music from Ye's Sunday service along with other popular musicians.